Good afternoon and welcome to the marketplace. Coming up in this bulletin, President John Mahama announces third round of nominations targeting key sectors of the economy like trade and agriculture. Also, bulk oil importers are sure of enough for stock to meet local demand as they rule out shortage in the coming weeks. And on the Joy Business Advisory Series today, we'll discuss how businesses can leverage technology to drive growth and efficiency in 2025. These and more coming up now. Let's bring you an update on how the Ghana cedi is faring against major global currencies. Let's now settle for the details. Bulk importers of petroleum products are ruling out force shortage on the market in the coming weeks. It follows reports that the country could soon be hit with a full national shortage due to current supply challenges, supply and logistics, which are key issues confronting the sector. Let's get on Zoom for now and get more on this development. We have the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, basically, Dr. Kweku Ofori, to give us up-to-date information on what is happening in the sector. Good afternoon. What is the basis of this assurance that we have enough stocks? Because some of the oil marketing companies have raised concerns about serious supply issues.
Good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. I think we need to look at it from the stock position in country and then also vessels that are at anchorage and those that are also being discharged. So on the basis of that, we are confident that product lineup, vessels lineup and the product in country are more than enough to meet our demand throughout this period. In addition, I think it all started with a bit of miscommunication from our sister outfit, the Chamber for Oil Marketing Companies. And luckily enough, they've done the needful by coming out with a press statement to debunk that assertion that was attributed to them. So that alone gives confidence and credibility to our earlier positions on the stock position in country and also the vessels that have lined up to supply products into the country. So I don't think there is any cause for alarm.
All right, so you're saying that going forward, we should rule out any shortage in the coming month. And how long should we be looking at?
I think there isn't any cause for us to be upbeat about the situation. What we know of was a bit of operational and logistical challenge with some of the OMCs with regards to their relationships with their BDCs. But even that, I think, with the vessel that is currently at anchorage that is discharging, it belongs to Go Energy, and Go Energy supply the bulk of what GOIL normally
all right, Dr. Fori,
requires.
now based on the assertions and the facts that you've made clear, what are your projections in terms of pricing going forward in the pricing window?
We have a bit of certainty that prices are likely going to go up. One, because the international prices have gone up by 3% for both diesel and petrol. In addition to that, we've seen that from Monday to this afternoon that I'm speaking to you, the cedi is also depreciating. We are expecting certain mitigation measures to come in. Once that is able to come in, then we expect that even if prices are going to go up, it's going to go up marginally and not necessarily anything that will create any form of panic in the public, in the country.
Dr. Ofori, we appreciate your time here on the marketplace. So we'll move forward and speak to some issues that is currently coming through. As of now, President John Mahama has announced the third round of nominations targeting key sectors of the economy. Let's bring you up to date, especially these sectors that are critical for national development. When we talk about the Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness and Industry, we have Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejari. She will be handling this critical sector of the economy. And we all know how essential trade policies and how Ghana intends to revolutionize the trade sector. Also, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, we have Emilia Arthur. She will be heading that particular ministry. Next is the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. We know the various agri policies and how they intend to change it and move it forward. We have Eric Opoku, who will be heading that particular ministry as well. Now, talk about the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. We have Abla Jifa Gomashi. She will be leading the force of the art industry, ensuring that policies that are critical for its growth are advanced before the House of Parliament, and also based on the policies that the NDC intends to champion. And talking about the roads and highway ministries, we have Kwame Gavins Agboja, who will be leading the course of various road infrastructure development on that. On that note, we have advanced conversation on how businesses can leverage technology on the Joy Business Advisory Series right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. As businesses navigate the evolving ecosystem, technology remains key in driving growth and improving efficiency. Today, on the Joy Business Advisory Series, we assess how businesses can leverage technology and innovations to augment business processes and unlock potentials. Joining me now for this analysis is Ezekiel Akpan, the IT Advisory Manager at KPMG. It's a pleasure to have you here with me, Ezekiel. It's good to see you.
For having me, and good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to your viewers as well.
Wonderful. Many will say the year began with a push. How are you handling it?
I mean, it's been a lot of activities, and we're just trying to start the year very well and ensure that we have a smooth sail. So yeah, it's been busy.
Awesome. We're all hoping for bigger things this year. Absolutely. Now let's get to the discussion. We are talking about technology and how businesses can leverage. Before we delve into that conversation, in the last 2 years and going into the latter part of 2025, also the years ahead, what are some of the big technological advancements that we experienced and should be expecting subsequently? All
right, thank you very much. I mean, that's a good start to the conversation. In the past couple of years, post-COVID, we've really seen that shift from manual ways of doing things to more digital way of doing things. So everybody's speaking digital, and with digital has to do with data analytics and the likes of the things. So we see a lot of push towards data. We see a lot of push towards cybersecurity, because exposing your business to the internet or to the digital era also comes with its own concern. So there's been a lot of technological advancements in those spaces. Automation has been a conversation as well. But going into 2025 and beyond, we are seeing more of intelligent automation, not just automating the mundane tasks, but also making sure that they are very intelligent. We're seeing AI, cloud computing. These are becoming more relevant and prevailing conversations for our businesses. Yeah.
Amazing. You mentioned cybersecurity. Last year, that was one of my key goals. And as of now, I'm also a cybersecurity professional, hoping to advance subsequently.
That's good.
Now, you made mention of some key technological processes and stuff that businesses should prioritize. Why should businesses basically prioritize or be concerned when we talk about technology?
Great, and thank you for giving me that question. So the truth of the matter is, if I take myself back, and I'm going to share a story with you. If I take myself back 10 years ago, I had a friend who he wanted to buy wache for the wife. The wife was actually pregnant, and then he had to drive all the way through Osu to East Legon to get wache, and then all back to the wife who was pregnant and staying at Spintex at the time. And that at the time, that was the option. He had to drive all the way. But coming into 2024, 2025, I know now those businesses are online. They are at several marketplaces. And so you realize that just with a click of the button, you can place an order. And so what it means is that we are living in a digital era. And people want convenience. People want to stay at their homes, at their offices, and have access to products and services. And so really taking advantage of this technological advancement really puts you in a better position to expose your business to potential customers you might never reach within your jurisdiction. Yeah.
I'm certain from your perspective, you've had access to data, assess how SMEs are performing.
Yeah.
From where you sit, how would you describe the state of SMEs, how they are faring in terms of adoption of technology? And are there some challenges that they have been confronted with?
Perfect. Within the Ghanaian ecosystem, particularly with the SMEs, we've seen that acknowledgement of the fact that technology, let me be very specific, something like AI is quite instrumental to the growth of their business. You have that even in our CEO report, where about 83% of the CEOs within West Africa mention that they see that potential, they understand it. Are they using it to the full potential? Maybe not. Most of them are trying to embrace these technologies. So you have some companies actually implementing tools around chat solutions and the likes. But the question is, are we ready? And that brings us to some of the challenges that we are seeing so far. We see a lot of data-related issues. If you look at, I think my colleague was here yesterday, and she mentioned that even from a watcher seller who is sitting at the joint, what data do you have about your customer? And you're selling to your customer, do you know what they like? Do you know what they prefer? Do you know how frequent they come to buy from you? And do you even know where they stay, where their office is? How do you deliver to them? So all this data, it's relevant. That's for a small-scale business. For a mid to large-scale business, you realize that they have systems all over the place, and then you realize customer data or information is sitting at separate places. So data becomes a very relevant conversation. Skills, staff skill sets becomes a conversation in this era. How digitally enabled or aware is your employee as far as this is concerned? And you, for a business, what's your strategy really around AI? Let's say, for example, what's your strategy around that? How do you want to adopt that to ensure that you make your internal processes more efficient such that you can serve your customers?
I want to get your thoughts on, because some people are watching us for the first time. Some also, somebody's paying attention to some key IT technologies or terminologies, and they would like clarification. When you say AI, can you break down the myth on that particular word?
Perfect, thank you. So AI is basically artificial intelligence, right? What it is, and let me just put in a very simple term, is saying that right now you have to click on your mouse for your computer to act, right? So you are adopting a computer or a program, and then you expose your data to that program to learn from it. And when it learns from the program, it's able to take certain decisions and present the results to you in a way that makes your business more efficient. So it could be applied in any use case, from a customer prediction, I mean, customer preference perspective, even from a product enhancement perspective.
You mentioned product enhancement perspective and customer sensitivity. You also made mention of the fact that we have data, collection of data, which helps make business decisions.
Yeah.
When we talk about technology, which areas of a business operation would you suggest SMEs and big corporations prioritize to advance their operations going forward?
Okay, so let me start with SMEs, maybe the micro ones. It's basically around your customer. How well do you know your customer? How well do you know their touch points? So yes, I have a business by the side. I'm delivering to a customer who is maybe in Kumasi. Am I tracking that data? The frequency of my delivery, am I tracking that, right? So really from that customer perspective, how many customers do you have and how well do you understand your customer and what they want, right? So that's a very key thing for a small scale business. For a much more larger corporation, right? It's also still about the customer, but then you're not just looking at just the customer data, you're also looking at your how your customer is reaching out to you. So let me give you an example. For a bank, I'm a bank, I'm sure you are also a bank account holder. You use the ATM card, quite all right. But you walk into a branch one day to request for a new ATM card, and a form given to you would ask you for your date of birth. The question is, why would you ask me for my date of birth when you already have that information, right? So how are you even using the customer data you already have so that you minimize the friction when it comes to customers? So yes, aggregating that data, understanding how I use my ATM card, wherever it is I go to shop, in order to suggest products for me, right, as a customer. That's a very key one. So
now, technology, many have embraced it in a good way. However, there are some risks many perceive or have encountered in the operations. What should businesses be careful about? You mentioned data, which is one. What other avenues can they observe that are risky? And what are some of the mitigating factors or strategies that they should put in place to avoid leakages subsequently? Perfect.
Thank you very much. So I want to categorize this into some subsets. So you have the internal factors, the external factors, and of course you have the ethical factors, right? From an internal factor perspective, it has to do with data privacy, right? How are you protecting the data or your customers' data? And that's really a clear conversation that we have. How are you securing that data such that you don't have intruders come into your systems and pull customer information and then use it for whatever malicious reasons? And you also have things around employee skill gap. These are risk areas that we look at from a KPMG standpoint. External factors has to do with misinformation, bias, and really having customers understand how you use their information. And then there's also this whole regulatory conversation. Depending on what sector of the economy or the business you're playing in, if you're regulated by an entity, what is that regulator's stand when it comes to the adoption of things like AI and the likes? And then the ethical factor is really the malicious use of data. How transparent are you with your customer on what you're doing with their data? Cybersecurity is also another area as well. But one key thing that we notice is that sometimes when you talk about technology, emerging technologies, businesses think it's a technology-first conversation, but no. It's more a business conversation. As a business, how do I want to adopt technology to enable my business scale, right? So what is the strategy? What is my readiness? Have I done an assessment of my business to understand where the gaps are, where the challenges are, what I should be investing in, and the return on investment? So yes, it's a whole conversation, but there's a clear strategy around that.
Before I ask about the kind of investment, especially in protecting data, you mentioned cybersecurity. I read an article that is cited the fact that big corporations tend to lose billions of dollars because of leakages of data due to cyber deficiencies in their systems. Yeah. And even some corporations being held to ransom, asked to pay a certain amount of money before their own data or leak are given back to them. What sort of investment, for instance, a small SME, should they prioritize in terms of technology to ensure they don't become victims to losing their ad-end reputation or investment or even business in the long run?
Perfect. So at KPMG, one thing we look at and we take seriously is actually information security. And there are several information security standards that you have to adhere to as a business, depending on which sector or which business you're operating. Like, let me take for a small business as an example, right? You have certain standards that you just have to comply with. Your data, where are you storing it? How secure is it? Who has access to it, right? What systems are you using? Are those systems secured? The mode of communication between that system and maybe third-party systems, are they secure? So there are very basic check boxes that you have to just check and ensure. And in most cases where you have these challenges, you realize that one or two of those controls are not complied to.
When you talk about controls, I just remember those frameworks and controls in
exactly.
cyber. So before, the last question is, what are some of the basically automations that SMEs should be more cautious or considerate about, practical ones that they can use as they are watching us right now?
Okay, so let me give you a typical use case.
Yes.
Would be I would call it a chat, intelligent chat solution. And what this means, and I'll give you one example. I had the chance of chatting with one of virtual chat solution, and the business's products was laid out there. I had to just select an option. Okay, this is what I want, and then I had to just click on that. I mean, respond with one, and this all happened on WhatsApp, right? Respond with whatever product I wanted. When it was time for me to pay for that product, a secure link was sent to me to confirm payments and all those stuff. And so I was able to interact with their business without necessarily interacting with a human. So as a small scale business, how are you reaching your customers? How are they reaching you? If they are reaching you through a call, a phone call, it takes your time. So how do you develop a chat solution? And it will interest you to know that I just checked a report on my phone. I have a screen time report of 5 hours on my phone. That means I spend about 5 hours on my phone on a daily basis. So I spend more time on my phone than even most of the things I do. And you have younger people who spend even more time. So how are you meeting them at that touch point? Everybody's on WhatsApp. So can you leverage tools that are WhatsApp enabled at that small scale level? Can you leverage that to enhance your business? Big organizations are doing that. So why not also do that as well?
Now, people are saying technology is now in your palms. So whatever you decide, you can make billions just sitting at home. Before we go once again, let me just ask, we are in the year 2025. Businesses are strategizing. Many are having their board meetings, deciding which way to go. Yeah. We've seen businesses advance in terms of profit because they adopted mobile apps, they adopted strategies, technology and stuff. This area, this year, possibly, which sectors should we focus on, or do you perceive we see more advancement because of technological involvement?
So it's interesting you're asking this question. Yeah. And I did a research a few years ago on some sectors within the Ghanaian economy where you see that interests from investors, and you trust me, when an investor is pushing their money into a certain sector, it means there's some promise there. And one of the areas that we saw coming up strongly is the agricultural sector.
Interesting.
Interests you to know that, agriculture is not just going to the farm and all stuff, but you have tech players in that space. We call them the agri-tech companies. And what they do is that they provide an end-to-end technology solution for a farmer. So it cuts across the farmer, whoever their supply chain is, you, the consumer, the markets, and who the middleman is. So they play this 360-degree role, and then they also provide financial services to the farmer, okay, for them to leverage on those. So yes, right, I see that sector coming up with the push of technology in that space as well. Yeah.
Amazing one. That's a very insightful conversation. I had the privilege of having with me here the manager of IT advisory KPMG in the person of Ezekiel Akpan, discussing how businesses can leverage technology in 2025. And that is it for today's session of the Joy Business Advisory Series that has come right here on the Marketplace. Don't make sure you stay tuned as subsequent edition of the Advisory Series where we touch on critical business solutions. My name is Winston Taki. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good business day. Bye-bye.